Things Club. My name is Sarah and I'm your host, and I'm coming at you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada on Easter Sunday. So naturally I am bloated and full and feeling disgusting because brunch was excessive. I hope you enjoy your day. I'm not particularly religious, so for me it's just an excuse to eat chocolate and feel gross about myself afterwards. But if you have any kind of, special affiliation with your Easter holiday, then I hope that you are enjoying your time. Stella! I hope that you are enjoying your time and having a good day. I once again have my computer perched on an ironing board because that's how we roll here. So I'm a little nervous that my cat's gonna knock everything over. Right, social media. So you can find me online anywhere as Loose Pages. I'm really active on Instagram. I also have Twitter. I have Periscope, even though I've never used it. I use Pinterest and Reddit, but on Ravelry, where that name was taken, I can be found as Romperlust. So ROMPERLUST. There's also a podcast group on Ravelry under Make Things Club group. It's kind of picking up. I really appreciate the new people that have joined over the last week. I'm sorry, my cat's making me so nervous and I can't even focus because she's just roaming around like she owns the place. And let's be real, she does. So, what was I talking about? Right, it's episode 10. That's double digits. That's crazy. Feels like only yesterday I was talking myself out of starting this whole thing, and here we are. I'd like to thank everybody who has subscribed. There's a huge boost in numbers over the last 2 weeks. I went from 61 to, I think, right now 113. So thank you so much. I am so happy you're subscribing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's quite a boost when... It's quite a boost when you kind of sign in or get emails that people are actually interested in what you're doing. So thank you so much for validating my experience with this. I really appreciate that you guys are interested in watching. She's on my partner's desk right now, mucking things up. But yeah, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's shown an interest. Thank you to Shannon from the Socksetera podcast. Stella, get down! Come on. Thank you to Shannon from the Socksetera podcast. I just watched your latest episode and I really appreciate the shout out. That was so kind of you. Also, I have notes because my brain is just... Yeah, thank you so much to everyone. I just really appreciate the fact that you guys are interested in what I'm doing and you're validating me, which, let's be real, that kind of feeds me sometimes. So, back on track for episode stuff. Just a quick note that I am co-hosting? Is that actually, I'm not really doing anything, I don't think. But I'm co-hosting the Canada Cal with the ladies from Two Tangled Skeins. There's info on the Ravelry group. That doesn't start until July 1st, but I've already been thinking about it quite a bit. I think for the podcast, during that time, I will exclusively be using... God! I'm gonna lose a computer today. Today is the day. I'm thinking of exclusively using Canadian music for my podcast. I don't know if you've noticed, but the song that I feature every week changes, and it's usually no rhyme or reason. It's something that I've been listening to a lot that week, or music that I've recently discovered that I've been listening. It's generally what's been playing the most for me in my personal life. Music is a huge part of my life. I can't say I play. I haven't played for a while, but I play guitar and keyboard and piano, and I sing. I used to be in a band a couple years ago within Edmonton, and we used to play a bunch of shows, and it was a lot of fun. So music's a big part of my life. If I'm not listening to some sort of podcast, I'll usually have music on in the background. So I think the way that my podcast will work during this cal is that I'll only be using CanCon because there's so much richness in the Canadian music scene that I feel like it would be silly not to. So that's something else that I'm going to be doing. I'm already planning my knitting for this cal. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, if you want to know more information about that, you can check out my episode from last week, or you can check out the group for information on that. I'm also still, it's been a really busy week, so there's been a lot of stuff that I've been meaning to do that I just have not done. I'm still thinking about my Knit City sweater cal that I want to start. I was thinking of doing a May 1st cast on date, but I've been really bad with my budgeting. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull off buying a sweater's quantity of anything in the next month. But a couple people have reached out. I know Elise from My Two Tips has expressed wanting to help me with this. I did get your message, Elise. It's just been nuts. So I will be getting back to those people that have reached out to me to try and kind of work something out. It's really funny when I say things will calm down once I'm back at work, but they will, because the last 2 weeks have just been a little bit crazy for me. So I'm still working on that. If you're interested in maybe, signing up to host with me, the premise will be that we have to knit a sweater that we're going to wear to Knit City. So this cal is a little, I don't want to say exclusive, but at the same time, it's more for people that do have plans to go to Knit City in Vancouver in October. I'd love to get a group photo of everyone in our sweaters. That would be really, really exciting to me. But still working on the details and trying to figure all that out and catch up on everything that I've kind of not had time to catch up on. So besides all that housekeeping stuff, I always say house cleaning. Besides all that stuff, let's move on to the knitting, shall we? So I do have 2 finished objects this week, and I'll talk about this one next. So I was recently, if you watched the last episode, I always do this, but thank you so much for coming back. If you're a returning viewer, I really appreciate that. If this is your first experience with the podcast, I really thank you for coming too. I need to be a little bit more thankful when it comes to people spending time with me. So thank you for returning. Thank you for checking me out for the first time. You guys are gold stars. Okay, so finished objects. So if you watched last week's episode, you noticed that my sister-in-law was here for my partner's 30th birthday. She's from Kelowna. Her name is Carla. She is one of the co-hosts of the Relentless Knitting podcast, which is an audio podcast. And my cat, come here. You want up? Let's just wait for her to figure out what she wants to do. Okay, come in your box. In your box. Just chill, Stella. Nobody has time to make sure you don't kill my computer. So Carla was here last week for about 5-6 days. And then the day that we dropped her off to the airport to go home, we basically just drove to Kelowna and stayed there. So we left on Tuesday and came back yesterday. And I finally finished my Rose City rollers. So these were the ones that I was working on basically since January. And instead of the stockinette stitch, get down. Instead of the stockinette stitch cuff, I did a 2x2 rib. This is the Koigu Painter's Palette Premium Merino in the majestic, stop it! My cat is the worst. In the majestic colorway of 454P. I know, how can you resist buying something that sounds so wonderful? But I finally finished both. This is the one that I did with my DPNs. And if you notice, there is a huge issue in my gusset decreases, so I'm really not happy with that. The other side's fine, but this side drives me nuts every time I look at it. So this one was done with DPNs. This one was done with magic loop. So I'm really happy with the whole magic loop experiment. These took, it feels like they took no time at all. I don't know if that's because it was exciting to try the magic loop method for the first time in my life, or if it's just because I literally did nothing but knit on it, so it was done really quick. So these guys are done, which means I only have one more half sock. So I've got these ones done. These will go into my box of socks cal, which is the sock cal held by Kristen. The premise is you have a cute box and you put a bunch of socks that you hand knit in them, and it runs from the beginning of this year to the end of this year. So I've got 2 pairs now for my cal. The thing that bugs me, my cat, what are you doing? The thing that bugs me here is that they looked so similar. I knit this in a car, so this was road whipping is what I was tagging things as. But the toes don't match. So not only are they a different color, which I anticipated, all my minis were slightly different, but they're not the same. They look the same. They're not the same. This toe is a lot shorter. This toe is a lot longer. They look the same on my feet. They fit. So whatever. I'm not even gonna worry about it. I think they're cute. I love them. The bad thing is they get dirty really easily. I had to wash these already because the bottoms were gross. So maybe not knit a really pretty cute pair of socks in lights, because my floors are pretty gross generally, because my cat literally just threw up again on the floor. It's hairball season and she's having a rough time. So we've been giving her paw paste to try and help things along. Stay away from the ironing board. But she's, having a hard time, and she just likes barfing everywhere. But she didn't hit the rug again, which is wonderful. Thank you, Stella, for not barfing on the rug. So yeah, here's my first finished object. Some of the notes that I had, they are finished in the car, which means I did everything in the drive. I did Kitchener stitch without having to look it up, which I think I get a pat on the back for. So I've memorized Kitchener stitch. How awesome is that? Yeah, and then the contrasting heels and toes were done with another koi goo. They were just little minis. I believe they're the same base, just in pink. So that's done. The other finished object, which I'm sure some of you guys have noticed that I'm wearing, is my elder tree shawl. So I'll hold this up. And this is a pattern by Soft Sweater, so Sylvia Bobilvia. This is a pattern from her on Ravelry. It's a paid pattern. And it's gorgeous. Look at this. My partner likes, they're supposed to be leaves, it's elder tree, right? But he said they remind him of the little foxtails, especially the parts with the little white bits. So I love foxes, so I'll agree and say that that's pretty much what they remind me of as well. So this shawl, if you watched last week, you'll know that we had to do a little bit of surgery on it last week. Carla so kindly, can you stop? Carla so kindly tinked back quite a few rows for me because we noticed a couple mistakes and the stitches weren't lining up properly. Get in your box. Come here. My cat is really not helping me podcast today. In fact, she's hindering the whole thing. But last week we had to go back about 4 or 5 rows, and then we went back another couple rows again, just to fix up some of the stitches. There's a decrease in here that I kept missing, which completely screws up your stitch counts if you're not careful. So we went back and fixed those. And then on Friday night, I was gearing up to cast off, and I had been weighing my yarn, because you do have to do a little bit of garter at the end just so it doesn't curl up. I don't want to give too much away. But it's a good idea to read your pattern through, be familiar with the next step, and Do you need to go out? But it's a good idea to be familiar with the steps that you have to do so that you're not just like caught up in the chart part and not sure of how you're supposed to finish it. So I ended up losing, like epically losing, a game of yarn chicken. And that required me to do a little bit more surgery on this shawl. So luckily we put in a lifeline, which was the first lifeline that I had ever used in knitting before, which leads me to my next point. Use lifelines. Like, I will probably be using a lifeline for everything now because it's so much easier than having to rip stuff out. Sorry. Ugh. It's so much easier than having to rip stuff out and tink. Tinking takes 3 times longer for me than it does knitting. So, and I'm also like needing to change my thought process when it comes to knitting. I'm all about the finished object. I'm all about just getting it done. Once I hit a certain point in the pattern, I want to be done it. And I'm kind of like just rushing to get it done. So being with Carla has kind of forced me to be like, no, it's more about the process. So at this point, if I have to rip it out and knit it again, I'm getting more bang for buck out of my yarn. So I'm really going to start trying to push that with myself. It's not a race. It's not something that you should half-ass. You should definitely whole-ass it. Don't half-ass it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and point myself in the direction of thinking where, hey, there's more entertainment here. You got more bang for your buck out of this yarn. But we did rip out to the lifeline, and then I actually tinked back a whole chart repeat. I think I did. There might be 1 row left in there. But I tinked back a chart repeat for the most part in the car yesterday, and then I ended up finishing it literally as we entered the city. Yeah, so it was awesome. I love this pattern. Anything by Sylvia is just amazing. She's probably one of the designers that I've bought patterns of consistently. I haven't bought too many patterns yet, but anytime she releases one, I'm like basically waiting to buy it. So I love her patterns. This yarn was brought for me by my partner when he was in Nova Scotia. So he purchased it at the Loop in Halifax. And this is the Lichen and Lace, 4-ply superwash merino, worsted weight, I believe. And it's in the soot colorway. So it's mostly gray. There's a little bit of white and a little bit of light gray. It's just gorgeous. I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. Blocking it yesterday was super easy, mostly because also my first picot bind off, which is so much fun and so easy to block. You don't have to like measure, you don't have to guess. You just stick your wires through these little nubs and you're done. It's wonderful. So I really love the pattern. I think it's highly worth it. It's gorgeous. I might even make it again in the future with 3 skeins just because I kind of like the huge shawls. So I highly recommend it. It's very easy. It looks more complicated than it is. So if you're a beginner, don't let that intricate look sway you. It's very easy. It's easy to repair if you mess up. And I ended up with this much left. So I weighed this is 7 grams. I might make a heart out of it, like the ones that I've knit before, and maybe make like a heart collection of stuff that isn't small enough to go in my sock blanket. So 7 grams left. I'm done. It's finished. I'm so happy with it. I wore it this morning to breakfast and showed it to my family so that they could accolade me and give me all the attention that I usually love. So now that I'm finished that, the only work in progress that I have a couple, but the only one that I'm really focused on really finishing and gearing up to just blast through it is the soulmate of my one sock. So this is once again the Rose City Rollers. I'm not going to make this pattern again for a while, but this one is Manos del Uruguay Alegria yarn in the Pindo colorway. So this is the first one, and I started this one. So I finished the cuff. I'm almost finished the heel flap. I'll turn the heel and then everything will probably move along pretty quick. I'm not in a rush to get this one done per se, but I'd like to get it into a place where I can just mindlessly knit on it if I'm in the car in between appointments, but when I'm back at work, or, you know, just have a little bit of downtime where I'm waiting for a meeting or something. So heel is almost done. I'm working on it. It's getting there. And I really like the magic loop thing. I wasn't sure if I would. I have a really hard time visualizing and imagining what things will look like. And especially when I'm knitting, get down. Hold on. The cat has been removed from the premises. I have a really hard time imagining and doing like any kind of like, it's not math per se, but any kind of visualization or problem solving where I have to think about something that isn't directly in front of me. So when it came to the difference between having 4 needles where I can go, okay, I have to knit this many and then I have a decrease, and then I have to knit this many and then I have a decrease, and then, you know, so just kind of changing how I'm thinking of the placement, I guess, has been less difficult than I was anticipating. So the magic loop method has been working well. I'm really happy with how fast that goes. I understand, I guess, I understand people's disdain with the Addy sock turbo quartz. I think that's what it is, the turbos. The quartz have kind of been a bitch. They get in my way a lot. They are very, I don't want to say rigid, but maybe I should say rigid. They just get in the way. They don't flop. They just kind of Mickey Mouse ears all over. I did loosen them a little bit with hot water when I first got them. I might do that again. But so far they've been up in my business a little bit too much. So next time I might try something different. They're fine for now. That might just be the reality of magic loop knitting. I just don't know it yet. But for the most part, I'm happy with them. I like the needles themselves, but the cord kind of irritates me a little bit. So that's out of the way. The other work in progress that I have is my Cozy Memories blanket. And once again, I'm using Kemper's Coziest Memory recipe from Junk Yarn. So I've actually done a little bit of work on it, and I think I'm going to start building up now. So this is my blanket so far. So I think since last week, just these two are new. This is the Koigu from my sock. This is another Mad Tosh unicorn tail. I don't know what it's called. I'll put the colorway in the thing. Where does it usually go? There. I'll put it right there because right now I'm just going to say it's gray. Because it's gray. It's gray. But I really, really like how it's been working up so far. And I know Candace from Pin Feathers and Pearls had talked about on an episode that she's so excited that she can fold her blanket. I can fold it, but it's more like a sandwich. And I love squishing it. So, hooray! Squishy, squishy, squishy. I'm going to start going up now instead of across. Mostly just because I think if I was to actually make it as wide as I want it to be, it would just kind of look ridiculous. So for the reasons of showing it, of the weight of where it's going to start being heavy, I'd rather start building it up instead of building it out. So I can always add more squares later, it's not hard, but I'm going to start going up now. Yeah, super excited about it. What else can I say? It's easy. It's a mindless knit kind of thing. So that's the other work in progress that I have. In terms of plans for other knitting projects, I don't have any immediately. I know that I want to cast on another pair of socks, but I want to do I might do a vanilla sock. I might do a Hermione's Everyday sock, so I can throw it into KT from Inside Number 23's Harry Potter Cal. Whatever. I just want to knit another pair of socks. And I want it to be like, I don't want to say legitimate sock, but I think knitting a cuff might be, it's not going to be super fun. I mean, it's a cuff, but it might be a good thing to do because I don't usually knit them. I also have never done it before. So just to say that I've done it. I typically wear a lot of short socks. I'm a very, if I wear socks at all, I'm the type of person that'll wear my moccasins with no socks in the winter, just whatever. And now that, especially that it's spring, I'm not going to be needing socks as much. But it might be nice to just have a pair of socks that I've knit that have a cuff on them. So why not? I also have been reading Clara Parks's Book of Socks. I would like to ideally work through Sock Architecture by Laura Neal and create my own custom sock pattern, which involves math. I hate math. Math makes me hurt. I'm not a fan of math. I cried all the time in math class when I was still in school. I'm so grateful that I never had to do calculus in university. So I think this would be a nice, approachable way of integrating basic math into my life again. So that's kind of all that I have on the list. I also think it would be fun to knit some cactuses for my work office. I think that would be cute. Everyone knows me as like the cat lady and the one that brings knitting to everything. So I already have a lot of cat stuff at my desk. I think maybe integrating some knit stuff would be nice. So I'm going to work on that possibly. I'm not setting myself up for anything because let's get real. Like going back to work after 3 months for me is kind of a big deal. I've been laying in bed a lot at night, worrying about it. I've been feeling anxious about it. The anxiety has kind of subsided over the last little bit, mostly because I can't worry about things that haven't happened yet. It's stupid. It's a waste of my energy. It's a waste of my time. So I'm really trying to focus on the things that I can change, things that are important. And it's a job. Like it's not, I do have a job that can be fairly emotionally exhausting. I work with families and children. Most of them are underserved or, you know, in high risk situations. So it can be a little exhausting, but at the end of the day, it's a job. It's not my life's work. It's something I do for 8 hours and then I leave it behind. So I really want to make that a priority. Just that thinking of, this isn't my life. This is something that I'm doing and I can't let it consume me all the time. So right now I'm just really gonna let myself get back into the habit of waking up on time, being somewhere, you know, just kind of getting back into the swing of things before I start pushing myself to do other stuff. So right now I don't have a lot of plans. I want to cast on another shawl, but I haven't found a pattern yet that really calls to me. So if I'm just, you know, gonna find something to knit and it's an easy sock, then that's fine. I'm not gonna force myself into something or pressure myself to start something big right now when a lot of my life right now is kind of changing a little bit with me going back into the routine of being at work. So I'm gonna be easy on myself and not force myself to do anything that I feel is crazy or too much. So in terms of planning for knitting, I'm going to keep going with my sock blanket. I'm going to maybe cast on a pair of socks and I'm going to keep looking for that perfect shawl pattern. I also need to start looking for that sweater pattern as well. I'm going to hopefully have that figured out soon too. That brings me to just kind of like general stash enhancement. Last week was a big week. I had maybe spent a little too much on yarn. And this week when I was in Kelowna, I got a couple things too. So I picked up another unicorn tail. This is Mad Tosh. And it's the Tosh Merino Light. Sorry, excuse me. As I cough into my yarn. It's the Tosh Merino Light. And it's in the Neon Peach colorway. So I thought my blanket needed some neon. Here we are. So the thing about these is you get about 52 yards in these. I don't know what that works out to in grams because math and I haven't weighed it, but I typically use, I should say, about 5 to 6 grams of yarn for my Cozy Memories blanket. So when I get a unicorn tail like this and I knit a square, I typically have quite a bit left over. So I think there will be repeating squares because why not? There's no rules. I'm also thinking of potentially, they wouldn't be good for contrasting sock toes or heels because they're single ply. And single ply is not gonna survive your shoes. So I might do something fun with these as well, like maybe a garland or something, but for the most part I'm just kind of collecting them to put in my blanket. So I love the neon peach. It's got a little bit of tonal, like besides the orangey, it's got a little bit of pink in there. It's a party peach. I love it. So I've got this. I also picked up a skein of Tosh Twist Light. It could go in a sock, but I'm now kind of regretting saying, I told one of my friends on Facebook that I was going to make a pair of socks with this. It's too pretty to put in a foot. Isn't that just cute? That's cool. That's super cool. So Kemper from Junk Yarn has a new single skein shawl pattern. I might give that a try. Because this doesn't deserve a foot. My hair is all over it. It doesn't deserve a foot. So it's called Electric Rainbow, yeah. So I think this is going to be a shawlette now that I've kind of looked at it and regretted saying I was going to put my sweaty feet into a sweaty sock with this. Come on. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but I love it. It's gorgeous. I had to have it. So I picked this up at Art of Yarn in Kelowna. I also picked up a skein of, I've got light issues here. It's a little later than I usually podcast. But this is from the Mindville Wool Project, which is, from my understanding, a discount yarn. I'm probably like putting my foot in my mouth now. But it's from the same people that do Fleece Artist. And it's a cheaper alternative to their Fleece Artist yarn. So I believe that there's just different techniques and different dye methods that go into this, and it produces very different results. So a lot of these seem to be one-of-a-kind skeins. They had some at my yarn store here in Edmonton for a while, and it's kind of like as you see it, this is what you get. So I picked up this skein, which is called Eggplant, and it's a superwash merino 4-ply. So there's 200 meters here, which is 100 grams. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but this color is incredible, so I needed it. So I picked one of those up, and oh no, my other thing is hidden because Stella kept trying to eat the package. Hold on. Of course that involved me having to move my computer that is precariously placed on an ironing board to get it. Anyways, I picked up a thing, and I just want to say, I've said it before, I'm not apologizing for the crinkling, because crinkling means I got something cool. So besides the getting something cool, it's also adorable. I had to hide it because Stella likes to eat plastic and ribbons, and then of course she throws up all over my carpet. This is gratuitous crinkling. So while I was in Kelowna, I went to a tea store called Teaberry, and I got a tin. Isn't it cute? Of course this is Danica Studios. Of course. And there's some llamas on it. And it also comes with some tea. So I haven't tried this yet. It's called Cindy's Sleep Tonic. It's a rooibos. And it's got peppermint, chamomile, spearmint, some lavender, vanilla bean pieces. It smells comforting. Maybe this will help me sleep. Who knows? So I got some tea. But let's get real. I wanted the tin. So there's some llamas on it. And it also came with a mug. So there's my llama mug. So this might look familiar to some of you because I know Sweet Fiber has their llama tote bags in their yarn shop, and on their online shop, I mean, and you can get the llamas. So my sister-in-law, Caitlin, has this llama tote, and now I have a llama mug and a llama tin. So that was a big plus for me. I love mugs. My partner is threatening to break them now if I bring any more mugs home, because they're they filled up the cupboard that I keep my mugs in. But llamas. So I'm happy with that. And the last, I got Patton's Croix because I thought I was going to make a pair of socks with that electric lemonade, and this was going to be the heels and toes. But like I said, maybe I could bind off with this. Either way, Michael's everywhere. And another thing that I got from that tea place was a tea tin. So there's a little family of foxes on it. I love foxes. Foxes are a big plus in my world. So this is a tea tin. There's foxes on that side. There's a little mouse with a crown. Not sure if you can see the crown. There's a little frog with the crown. And then some... Doing this in reverse is hard. And then a little magical mushroom house. But I'm excited because I can put tea in it. This will probably come back and forth with me to my office. But it had a fox on it, and these people see me coming. Put a fox on it and I will buy it. I also picked up a gleaner. This came from Art of Yarn, and I've been wanting one of these for a while just because I'm lazy, so getting dressed in the morning is hard. So I have a pair of fleece-lined leggings that I like to wear, but they pill really easily. So I bought this initially for that, but I know my partner will use it. It's one of those things where you just have in the house because you're an adult. So I bought one. I know they sell these at my yarn store. They're actually, I found a little I don't want to say overpriced, but they're a little bit more than I was expecting to pay. They also have these at Staples for 20 bucks. I picked up one for 22, figured it was fine. So I got one of these for myself. Comes with 3 different attachments for heavy, medium, or fine clothes and a little bag to store it in. So I bought this because it'll come in handy with my knitting, but it also will come in handy with me being an adult. And then the last thing that I picked up was just a little soak sample pack. I've never used soak before. Well, I did for my shawl. I picked up the yuzu one and the fig one. So I used the yuzu one yesterday. It smells really nice. I have the fig one. I haven't used it yet. I've never even smelt it. But I'm thinking that I might start buying them a little bit more because you get a little bit more of a lingering scent. And I'm one of those people that likes everything to smell like something. So I know that I can pick up soak for cheaper than yarn stores by going to the Bay or Sears. In their lingerie areas, they usually have like soak, just because you're not supposed to wash your bras and underwear and stuff like in the washing machine apparently, which is another thing about being an adult that I've yet to learn. But they keep that stuff in like the lingerie section. So if you want to cheat a little bit and your yarn store doesn't sell it, or you find that it's a little expensive, check out like just a local department store and see if they have it in their lingerie section. So that's been my stash enhancement for this week. Which brings me to my next announcement, and I'm going on a yarn diet. So there's nothing that I hate more than a diet. I'm not good at food diets. I'm not good at like exercise or anything that I really need to stick to. So the fact that I'm going to stop myself from buying yarn for the next little bit is going to be a little difficult. I can't keep buying yarn. It's really easy to like get into the habit of being like, look what I found, look what I got. But I don't want to bankrupt myself. And I've spent a lot of money on yarn in the last little bit, and I need to dial back a bit. So my stash enhancements for the next little while are going to be sparse, which is fine. I'm going to hopefully start using my stash because I've got enough yarn. So I'm going to start using it and doing different things with it. So other than that, that's kind of it for the knitting stuff. There are some things that I would love to share with you that I've done over the last week while I was in Kelowna. So if you're not interested in hanging around for that, you are more than welcome to peace out. I'm not going to judge you. See you next week, maybe. But yeah, I was in Kelowna for the last week, and it was really fun to see my in-laws and my nephew, who is the cutest child in the world. But we also got to go to a farm, meet alpacas and sheep and chickens. And I think that was mostly it. But in Kelowna they have I don't know if it's a fiber guild or like a spinning guild or something like that, but there's a woman who is part of the guild that Carla is also a part of, who owns a farm. And she has alpacas and sheep and chickens and Angora rabbits, and it was awesome. So we got to go on Friday. I got to meet an alpaca named PJ, who was kind of a creep. He would follow Carla and her baby and just like awkwardly sniff his head while he was walking around and stuff. But it was really cool getting to meet an alpaca. And I apparently met alpacas at a farm when I was a kid, but who cares? I didn't knit then, so why would it be important? But it was really fun to go and feel their fur, because alpacas is a wonderful fiber to knit with. I love it. Baby alpaca is my sister-in-law Caitlin's favorite fiber. So I got to touch the alpaca, and it's crazy how deep their fur, can you say fur? Is that what it's called? Their wool? It's amazing how deep their wool goes. So when they're shaved, I bet they look ridiculous. But if I was to put my hand in his wool up to his body, by the time I hit his body, it was this deep in fiber. So it was really cool just kind of like fluffing it. I also got to see a baby lamb. I held a baby lamb, which was really exciting. And I got to see some sheep. So it was really cool. Thank you to Jody for hosting us. She was very awesome about talking about, you know, how they shear everything, and asking her questions about the shearing process and the manufacturing process, and just kind of learning a little bit about what it takes to have fiber producing animals on a farm. So thank you so much, Jody, for letting us come out and spend some time with you on Friday. I'll put a video at the end of some of the stuff that we did. It was really quite a nice trip. To be honest, I was a little nervous that I was going to be gone and I wouldn't have time to do a bunch of weird prep that I thought I would need to do before work. But I'm really happy that we got to go and visit. It actually helped me get on a better sleep cycle. It was good to get fresh air. It was good to see the mountains. And it was just fun. I'm really glad that we got to go. So now I'm back in Edmonton. I'm going to work on Tuesday, and we'll see kind of how that impacts. I think that my podcasting schedule will be more of a weekend thing now, simply because during the day I've got lots of stuff to do at work now. It's so easy to podcast when you've got like 3 things to do a week, but when you're at work for 8 hours a day, it'll definitely change things. So I'm not sure how that will be. I'm not anticipating it to be like detrimental, but it'll be different. So other than that, I want to say, oh, sorry. I can show you a picture of the alpaca. So yeah, I had fun. But yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who's been doing shout outs and saying hey and mentioning me on their podcasts or their blogs or their Ravelry groups. But I don't want to be a jerk, but you're spelling my name wrong. So I know if your name is Sarah, I know you probably experienced this too, where you're like, oh, I have an H, or no, there's no H. So it's a very polarizing aspect of being named Sarah. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, but just throw that H in there. I feel like a dick. I'm sorry. But yeah, just hi. I have an H in my name. Thank you so much for giving me a shout out. And I feel really petty and weird just kind of mentioning it. But yeah. Oh, another thing. This is a really disorganized podcast, even though I have comprehensive notes written down. My sister-in-law Caitlin and I are going to be doing a 12 days of Knitsmas. So we're basically starting like an Advent thing in December. So it'll be 12 days of 12 knitting related gifts. And I already got one thing for her. And obviously I can't show it because she watches this. So I'm really excited to start looking for little things to throw in that pile where I can collect and then hand them over closer to Christmas. It also forces me to be a better gift giver at Christmas because I'm already thinking about it. So other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I will hopefully have show notes up by the time this is up. I'm really bad at giving show notes. It's my least favorite part of podcasting, but I get them done anyways because I know it probably helps people. So once again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate all the love that I've been getting over the last couple weeks. It warms my heart and makes me happy. And yeah, I'm really blown away that people actually regularly come back to this podcast. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. If you want to follow along with my life and other crafty things, you can find me on Instagram as Loose Pages. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest and Reddit and Periscope, even though I don't use it as Loose Pages, but I will be found on Ravelry as Romperlust. So I'd love for you to come to my group. It's the Make Things Club podcast group. Introduce yourself in the introductions thread. We have a couple conversations going. I really appreciate everyone who comes by and chats it up. And other than that, I will be back next time. Might be this week, might be next week. I'll post something on Instagram if I don't get around to podcasting next week. So that being said, my voice is giving out and I'm feeling a little hoarse. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful long weekend. Bye!